What's up? Welcome back to the channel, Detroit Poker. In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 things that I see people doing on a regular basis at 1-2 and 2-5 no limit hold'em tables. If you take these 3 items out of your game, I'm pretty certain that you're going to win more money at the poker table. So let's get into the video. All right, first item on this list. We're just going to take a look at a fictional scenario here, but it is based on real events. This happens at 1-2 tables, especially 1-2 tables, all over the place, every day. And then ultimately, the action gets to this guy here on the button. $22. And this particular time, he just happens to have pocket aces, and he's going to cut a big old fat raise over these limpers. And I think you already know what's going to happen. This guy might raise the worst hand than pocket aces here, but this time he just happens to have the best hand possible. This guy under the gun with pocket sixes, even though this is pretty borderline to make a set mine here, he's not really getting a very good price to set mine, but nevertheless, he's going to make the call for $22. And in turn, he's going to draw in the player with queen jack. So he's making the call for 22. And then, of course, king 10 offsuit here is going to be priced in. He might even say this. I hear people say this all the time in multi-way pots. Even if they don't say it, they have body language gestures like shrugging their shoulders or whatever. So the only guy that even has like any business to even be in this pot is probably the pocket sixes, but his price that he's getting is pretty bad. So I think all these players should fold. There's a time and place for everything at a poker table. Some poker tables, you're just not going to be able to get away with bluffing. You're going to have to make hands. You got to be pretty selective about what you limp with, and you got to understand the objective is to make a hand. But I think in general, it's better to take the initiative and just raise yourself. However, I think it's easier for people that are maybe more inexperienced at the poker table and they're not as good at hand reading after the flop, things like that, to kind of just play straightforward and try to make hands, which is totally fine. You'll still win money doing this. You're just not going to win as much money as you would if you improved your post-flop game and you started raising instead of limping, but everyone's got to start somewhere. So there's a time and place for everything, but if you're at the poker table and you're doing this, like limping in, just garbage, queen jack offsuit and king 10 offsuit in an early position, stop doing this immediately if you're doing it. And you're going to save yourself money and increase your win rate. All right, so the next item, number 2, the straddle. If you're not familiar with the straddle, most of the time it's under the gun. Some rooms allow you to do it on the button, and even fewer rooms allow you to do it in any position. MGM Grand in Detroit allows you to straddle from any position. So I think the line of thinking, and I've just gathered this from hearing what people say at the tables over the years, I think the line of thinking is that it's some sort of like lucky thing, like they're trying to jumpstart their luck by putting the straddle on. I've heard people say things like, man, I got to get something going, and then they put the straddle on. Whatever the stakes are that you're playing, 1-2, you're doubling it. So the pot is going to be exponentially larger by the time you get to the river. It's just higher variance, and especially like if you're doing it short stacked, and then you create this situation where you're just putting yourself at risk and you don't even know what cards you're getting dealt. You're just putting money in the pot blind, and you don't have to, and you're just setting money on the ground and taking a lighter and lighting it on fire. There are reasons that you can put the straddle on. Like if the game really sucks and everybody's just sitting there like playing like nits and stuff, I'll straddle on the button. You know, the whole point of straddle, in my opinion, is to generate action. If you just never straddle, it's not going to ever hurt you. You definitely save money by stopping doing this immediately. Next item, number 3, is playing short stacked. People in general will go to the cage and they'll buy X amount of dollars. Like most people buy $200 and they sit there with 100 big blinds. And what happens is, as they lose hands or they bleed down or whatever, they don't add on any money because that's all they got from the cage was the $200. Oftentimes I will see people blind down to less than 100 or even less than $50. And like, think about what's going to happen. Like if you get a good hand and you're sitting there with, $48 in your stack, like now you've just limited the amount of money that you can make when you finally get this good hand. And even if you double up, you're still stuck. You haven't even made your money back. That's totally understandable. Like poker is expensive, especially playing 1-2 Nolan Hold'em. Like you can easily lose $500 in a session or more. But like if you're going to play this game and you're going to be serious about it and you're trying to beat it, and you got to be properly rolled. You got to sit there with 100 big blinds minimum. That's all there is to it. It's not a tournament. Like you don't need to sit there short stack. There's absolutely zero reason to do this, and you're just like you're leaving money on the table if you do this. So furthermore, it creates these weird situations that wouldn't happen if you were playing a full stack. Like people get into these spots where they have like a small pocket pair and they end up like getting $50 in pre-flop because it's their last $50 and there's all kinds of ways that you can justify it. This guy raised to $20 and another guy re-raised to $60 and all you have is $50 and then somebody cold called to $60 and now you're getting this really good price. And so like, oh, well, if I hit, I'm going to quadruple up. Yeah, you're going to quadruple up to what you started with. It doesn't make any sense. Like if you were sitting there with $200, you wouldn't be playing the hand like this. You would fold. But instead, like people are just dusting off this last 50, trying to get in there with pocket fives because they're getting 4-1 on their money, and it's a losing proposition. When you go to the cash cage and you buy in initially, if you're going to sit with $200 at the game, buy $500 in chips and get $200 in nickels. So you get 2 stacks of chips, and then get the rest in like green, like $25 chips and put them in your pocket. If you get down to less than $200, you just take whatever out of your pocket to top off to $200. That's it. And I think a lot of people feel like they don't want to get into a game for too deep or whatever. And I totally understand that. But at the same time, you're tying your hands behind your back and you're making it so you can't make money when you finally get a hand if you do that. So like my advice to you would be to stop doing this immediately. Hope you found this list helpful, and I hope it helps you win all the money on every poker table all the time. That would be fantastic. I'd certainly appreciate it if you would mash that like button if you liked the video, if it helped you, and also drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about any of these items or how they apply to you. It'd be great to hear from you in the comments. And don't forget, if you like my content, you should definitely subscribe to the channel. It's free. It's totally cool. And if you hit that little bell, it'll alert you when I upload new videos. And lastly, take a look at the website. I have a website. It's detroitpoker.net. And I offer coaching for 1-2 players trying to beat the game. And also, I have some t-shirts for sale over there with my logo on it. So don't forget, meetup game, 7 p.m. Thursday, December 5th, 2019. All the details are going to be on Instagram, Twitter, and in the video description and the comments of this video. Come see me at the meetup game. Thursday, December 5th.